morning, everybody.
Good morning, team. How are you? I hope you all have your coffee and are excited for our second live kickoff event this morning.
That's right. Make sure your coffee is full, or with the surveys yesterday, we learned a lot of people had started drinking lemon water too.
Yep, that's a great way to start the morning. Good for digestion.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about week one, loving your Monday last week and getting into a great routine. So we talked a bit about work-life balance, trying to take a look at where you're at personally and professionally and what you want to accomplish moving forward to make sure that you love your work, but you also have enough time for life balance. Also talking about creating good habits, making sure that we create a morning routine that really gets our day started off right, and then using that habit tracker, putting the morning routine in as part of your habits that you can check off every single day. And then the last thing is it's all about gratitude. So getting back to taking just a few minutes to think about the people and things around you that make your life as amazing as it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. And so with those, we sent out a survey yesterday, and we hope you had the opportunity. It actually went out Saturday and yesterday. Hopefully you had the opportunity to fill it out. We had a ton of responses, which was really great. And it was good to take inventory to see where we're at in terms of what we've done over the last week. And what was interesting, Amy, was that we had people that started something new, that started a daily routine. They put one thing in place that they're starting to do. But also we had a lot of folks who restarted things. So when we talked about the daily routine, a lot of people started doing things that maybe they gave up pre-COVID, or that they stopped doing once the shelter in place came in. And so it's really good to see us getting back to that. So I know we wanted to highlight a few people and give some shout outs that sent in surveys over the weekend. So first is Nikki Hurt out of the Bucktown office. So one of the things that she took away from last week was when Thad was talking about how he drives without music and reflects. And so she said she started doing that and started to reflect while she's driving, riding in silence and saying things out loud to herself, almost like affirmations, to be able to manifest where she wants to go and what she wants to do.
We also have Nancy Gaspoderic from the Peoria office. She started getting up at 5:30 a.m. You go, girl. I know how hard it is to get up that early, and I try to do the same thing. So she got up. She said she didn't hit the snooze button once all week. That's super impressive. And then she set up her work area, including her cards, making sure that she would have everything ready to go at her table the night before. So there was no way for her to run behind in the morning because everything was set up and ready to go. It made it super easy for her to just sit down with some coffee and get to work right away. So nice job, Nancy.
Yeah, and it's funny, yesterday on our Instagram, if you're not following us, please follow us. Last week, we referenced a podcast that talked about the 5 a.m. Club, which is a book by Robin Sharma. And so we posted on our Instagram on Saturday, I believe, about who wanted to join the 5 a.m. Club. We have no takers. So don't be overwhelmed. You can start at 5:30, 6:30. Someone told me that now they're getting up earlier, and that's 7. That's great. So congrats, Nancy. So let's talk about Christina Fritz out of the Libertyville office. This is really great. She started a morning routine, added 3 new things. So now she's drinking lemon water. She's listening to an inspirational podcast while going on a morning walk. So she's hitting those 3 things, added them to her daily routine. So great job, Christina.
And then we have Vita Canoni. I hope I said that right, from the St. Charles office. So the most impactful thing that she did for this week is she focused on her mindset, but she also recognized that she needed to take care of and focus on herself, which was awesome. So she actually reestablished a morning routine. She gets up in the morning and she doesn't look at her phone. She works out, and then she takes about 10 minutes every morning to write in her journal, just her thoughts, her inspirations, and her gratitudes. And she said she has done this 6 days in a row. So that's super impressive. Nice job, Vita.
Yes, nice job to everyone. And so as part of that, for being recognized, tell them what they're going to get, Amy.
So I'm really excited. You are each going to get a $50 Visa gift card. But what we want to ask you to do, because we've gotten a lot of feedback, is with that gift card, use it local. Use it to go out to dinner at a local restaurant, stop in at a local business, grab some donuts from your local donut supplier, whatever it is. But $50 Visa gift card to all 4 of you. You did a great job. And for all of you, next week, you'll have an opportunity to win as long as you write in and let us know what you've got going on.
Great, thanks, Amy. So this week is all about your financial security. It's about building financial security. So today we're going to talk through some of the high-level points, and then throughout the week and with the packet, we're going to cover things in more detail. So one of the things that we know when it comes to financial security, because some of us, I know, I can feel it, are cringing when we hear this, because we do all face roadblocks when it comes to our finances. The first one is oftentimes we're embarrassed, and we're embarrassed about the pressure we put on ourselves that we're not where we want to be or where we had envisioned we would be a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But we also put pressure on ourselves because we don't think that we live up to what other people want us to be. So we're going to talk through this, and ultimately at the end of the day, we should not be embarrassed. We all have different situations in life, but this is one of the roadblocks in terms of moving forward.
Another roadblock many of us have is the feeling of being overwhelmed and not knowing where to even begin in regards to our finances and being able to make a positive change. Let's face it, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on day in and day out, and to kind of really have to focus on what this looks like, and it's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation for, you know, many of us. It's really hard to figure out where to even begin.
And then the third one here is that we're in denial sometimes. And what does that mean? That means that we pretend like it doesn't exist. We focus on other things. And when we're in denial about our state of affairs, they don't tend to get any better, right? But this is one of the roadblocks where, you know, we hope or wish for the next $50,000, $100,000 commission check or $10,000 commission check, and that's when we'll get our finances straight. That's when we'll get the train back on track. So let's talk about some ways that we can, or some stats in terms of financial security.
Yeah, so over the weekend, it was interesting. I was looking up some statistics in the United States specifically, just about individuals, Americans, and what they're looking at and think about from a financial standpoint. And these stats were so interesting. And what it makes us realize is we are not alone. The first stat is that 53% of adults are financially anxious. How many of us can raise our hands out there that, you know, even if you aren't this second, we've all had times where we're financially anxious, where we're not really sure if we're headed in the right direction to have enough money in the future. And let's face it, enough money maybe for college, for kids, or even for retirement.
Right. And here's another stat. 78% of adults live paycheck to paycheck. And what's really interesting about this stat is that it's not just within a certain income earner group. It's across, whether it's low income earners, medium, you know, mid-range or high income earners. A lot of us and a lot of folks out there do live paycheck to paycheck, regardless of the size of the paycheck.
I think it's tough for that too, Kevin, because I think sometimes we get into this concept of we have to live a certain lifestyle that other people think we need to be living. And it's kind of crazy. I think that's what, you know, gets people into that paycheck to paycheck situation. The other stat that was interesting is 3 in 5 adults don't keep a budget. So how are you going to be able to keep track of your money if you don't know where it's going? Really important to figure out where your money is going out so you can make sure you can figure out how much to keep with you.
And then fewer than 1 in 5 adults is confident in the savings that they have, being nervous long term or short term in terms of an emergency fund. So whether it's retirement or something that may come up in the short term, 1 in 5 or fewer than 1 in 5 is confident in the savings that they have. And so when you think about retirement, these are all the things that we're going to talk about. But as Amy mentioned at the beginning, really what's important to note is we're not alone. We're not the only ones that have those roadblocks we just talked through. We're not the only ones that are financially anxious or don't have a budget or not confident in the savings we have. And that's exactly why we're talking about this week. When it comes to love yourself, this is part of it. The basis for us loving ourselves and feeling good about ourselves could be our financial state.
So how do we break the cycle of financial insecurity? There's 4 things we're going to touch on today. Deciding it's time to do something different. Take action. Then recognizing that you are not alone. You are not the only one in this situation. And then understand that there are resources available to achieve success. And then the last thing, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's 1 step at a time, 1 day at a time, and $1 at a time.
So deciding it's time to do something different, really, it has to be us that makes the decision. No one else can do it for us. It's like changing habits. It's like deciding to get up at 6 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. It's like any other decision we have to make. We have to be the ones committed to it. So if you say today is the day where I'm going to start putting the train back on the track and getting the train moving in the right direction, great. That has to be you. That has to be us making that decision.
And then recognize you are not alone. You know, isolating yourself in situations like this can be paralyzing. You know, ask for help and, you know, share with your spouse or a family member and make sure that you've got people around you that can help you get on the right track.
And know that there are resources out there. One of the roadblocks we talk about is being overwhelmed with where to start. We're going to talk about the resources that are available so that we can get the train back on the track, going in the right direction, and feeling better about our financial security.
And the last thing is, remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, you're not going to be able to make all of these changes and your financial situation is going to change in 30 days. It is something that you need to commit to for the long term. And here's the thing, I am not a financial expert. And what I recognize is a lot of the things that I was doing for many years was very amateur, and it was oftentimes things that really weren't that effective. And so what I recognized is kind of like when you feel sick and you need to contact a doctor to help identify what your symptoms are and really kind of what a solution is for your path to health. It's the same thing here. Reach out to experts. They are there to help you, and they can help you determine a long-term game plan so that you can take tiny actions every single day that for the long-term trajectory can get you into an amazing place.
Yeah, and that's a very important point to make. You know, similarly, I've read books. I thought I knew what I was doing, but until I talked with someone that was an expert, and again, I'm not licensed either, so financial advice, we're not the ones.
We're going to try and give it, but it may not be right.
We can regurgitate what the experts tell us and what we've done personally, but here on the screen, we have Mark Jacobsen. A lot of you may be working with him already, and in fact, he's working with over 20,000 agents across the country, which is super impressive. He's been in the business for 30 years, and we're going to hear more from him later. But Mark is here as a resource for each of us to be able to be someone that sets us on the right path. And whether that means that there's a product that he has or he can help us save money in specific areas that we'll talk about, Mark is one of the resources that we've found at Properties who really understands the agent's psyche.
Yeah, and that's what we love. To what Kevin had just said earlier, he's worked with over 30,000 real estate brokers. And let's face it, we're all real estate brokers, so we all know how we're a little bit crazy, maybe tough to track down. But he's really worked with some, and has some amazing stories about how he's taken individuals that have literally gone paycheck to paycheck and had no savings at the later age of 70 years old, and in 5 years was able to give them an opportunity to have some really great savings and be able to have a future. So you're going to hear more from Mark tomorrow, but wanted to talk a little bit about the resources that he and his organization or company are providing for Properties brokers. The first thing and the initial thing that he's engaging in with many of our agents is the most competitive options for health, auto, home, and life insurance. And now these sometimes feel like not small ticket items as far as when we look at our financial portfolio, but I will tell you, he actually had assisted a managing broker in the city to save over $2,000 a year on, I think, his home insurance. Right? So some of these places where you're spending a lot of money here and there for your home or your auto, you might be able to save. And those couple of $100s a month can really add up. The other thing, do you want to talk about At One Click?
Sure. So At One Click is coming targeted January of 2021. And what At One Click is a compilation of your financial and health and everything in one place. And this is really unique because there's no other brokerage that has this. And it's going to be completely confidential. So no one else is going to understand. You simply put in and connect bank accounts, checking accounts, credit cards, mortgage, your health insurance, anything that you need, important documents, all the way down to passports, wills, things like that. You're going to have one singular place where all of that exists. You have access to everything. And I don't know about you, but the password game gets a little difficult when you start having to go to 50 different websites. So I know, Amy, you were testing this.
Yeah, I just logged in over the weekend, and stay tuned. I'll give you some additional information once I'm in there, but it already looks amazing. I mean, imagine one spot where you can assess all of your finances in just one location. So it's a really exciting opportunity coming to Properties, and it's something that we've wanted to give to you to really help you with your own personal planning. And the other thing that's great about it is that your accountant can easily access all of the necessary financial details to process your returns. And the thing that costs so much money when we work with an accountant, sorry, Jim Heckman, but it's the time that it takes for them to gather everything. How many of you take a shoebox and bring it into your accountant with all of your receipts? Now this is going to be one spot where all of that information is being held onto, and it's going to be easy for them to process your return.
That's right. So he's actually going to be on Coffee tomorrow, Mark. So make sure you tune in. We'll talk more about that in just a moment.
So wanted to tell you about week 2's resources for success. In your packet that's going to be delivered out or to the office managers this morning, you're going to have a financial worksheet. This is a pretty basic worksheet, but it's to get you to start thinking about where am I at right now and what are some of my goals. And we've outlined an opportunity for where you want to be in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years. And then it talks about some of the action items that you need to take in order to be able to get there at those milestones. We also have the 10 commandments for a financial diet. Just some great information and ideas on things that you can do to be trimming the money going out and making sure that you're saving more. And then we also have the financial game plan. These are actually some tips that Kevin and I came up with from either our own experiences or things that we've heard from others as ways for you to save immediately. These are 5 things that you can actually start doing tomorrow, and we'll dive into them over coffee, that you're going to be able to do right now to start saving money. And then the last thing is we just threw in a few of the financial apps that we use and have seen be really helpful for individuals when they're starting to look at financing and saving money. So all of that will be mailed to your office managers, and they will have it printed out so you can add it to your binder.
Yes. So make sure you have a binder too. Make sure if you're registered for this and you were registered last week, if you don't have your binder yet, reach out to your office manager. We have supplies constantly flowing to your offices. So make sure you get the binder. But either way, whether you have a binder or not, make sure you have your packet printed out so you could use it. And tomorrow, as I mentioned, Mark is going to be with us on Coffee, giving us his advice and his experiences in working with real estate brokers. And one note about the one-click system that we just talked about that's going to be coming in January 2021, one note about that, it's free. And you don't need to use any other service. You don't need to use Mark. You don't need to have any other service to be able to use this. It's going to be really neat. So we'll learn more about that, but make sure that tomorrow you tune in by watching a video that's out by 9:30. And what I mean by that, to be clear, is that tomorrow is not live. There's no Zoom link. There's nothing to register for. There will be an email that goes out with the Coffee with Amy and Kevin episode with Mark Jacobsen tomorrow, and it will be out by 9:30 a.m.
So thank you guys. We really appreciate you all joining us live this morning. Let's make it a great day and another great week. And remember,
love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Monday.